this is a shawl that I made on my Ashford rigid heddle loom, and it is so beautiful and squishy. And yes, I'm gonna hold it in front of my face because I'm a little bit goofy like that. And this is made with hand spun and with commercial yarn, but a heck of a lot of hand spun went into this. I find weaving to be just amazing with what you can do with your hand spun as well as commercial yarns. And if you have, you know, a more interesting art yarn that you're playing with, you end up with this like amazing nubby texture here as well, which is just so squishy and nice. And oh my gosh, this project actually started because I have this big long like blanket scarf that's made of acrylic. And okay, so this is maybe me being a little bit of a wool snob, but I was like, you know what? I really would like to try to make something that is similar to this, but woven. And I was new to weaving. It was within my first few, I don't know, months of having my sample it rigid heddle loom. So I didn't really know what I was doing, but I figured I could do something that would get some of the similar colors. So I brought my shawl to my local yarn store, and I started carrying it around the store and looking for colors and trying to figure out, okay, I want to get a little bit of this pink and a little bit of this gold and a lot of this teal. And I kind of looked at the fringe down here to think about, you know, what is in the fringe, what colors are being put together here in the fringe. And so then I had gotten my collection of yarns, and I did a little sample, which actually I really quite like, and I wish I had kept going with it because, oh my gosh, the sample it's been laying in a box, and it's very, it's a little wrinkly, and you can see all my little ends where I was putting in new yarns, but it really actually goes well with what I'm wearing. It's got some of my favorite colors in it, and I wish I had stuck with what I was doing because I just love the color gradation that you see down here in the fringe, and all of them were playing really well with the colors that I was testing up here. Anyway, I only did this much because I thought, okay, now I'm going to make my real piece. And that's when I got, my wrist just buzzed. That's when I got a little bit carried away. I don't know if it's still on my computer. When I go back and edit this, I'm going to have to look, but I started using Excel to try to make a Fibonacci sequence of stripes that I wanted to have going for the warp, which is the vertical, what you can call the vertical, the lengthwise threads or yarns in a woven piece. So I really thought I wanted to do kind of this like alternating gradation as it faded from the blues to the golds to the reds. And I think I spent about 3 weeks thinking about how to do this stupid Fibonacci thing. There's the sequence of numbers that is like, you know what, I'm not going to say it. So yeah, so I spent all this time thinking about Fibonacci and thinking about colors. It was like 3 weeks and I hadn't done any weaving on the project, and I was just like driving myself batty. So eventually I was like, okay, I'm just going to go to the loom and I'm going to start direct warping. And that's actually one of the things that I really like about the rigid heddle loom, that you can see the warp as you're putting it on. So if you're looking for a particular effect in the lengthwise part of your pattern, which is, you know, particularly nice if you're doing a scarf, actually like this one back here. So, you know, for this one, you can see the darker blue in the warp there, which kind of carries across, and it gives a really nice effect. So anyway, I was spending all this time thinking about that, but with the rigid heddle, you can just lay out the yarns as you're individually putting each one through the slats on the heddle, and that way, as you're kind of growing the piece, you can you can see what it's going to look like and see if you think it's a pleasing arrangement of colors. And anyway, that's what I did for this other scarf that was leading up to leading up to making what I hoped would be something in imitation of this. And what I got was really quite beautiful, but really quite different. It didn't look like this at all, which is fine. But it wasn't what I was going for. So I did sell that one. And now it is in the hands of someone who I think loves it very much. Around comes this fall, and I'm thinking of autumnal colors again. So I'm thinking, okay, this time I'm going to try again. But I have the Ashford rigid heddle loom, not the sample it, which is a little bit lighter weight, but the rigid heddle, which is slightly bigger. And I've gone up to the 24-inch because I want to be able to make slightly wider projects than the 16-inch was permitting. So I thought, well, you know, I have this cool hand spun that is spun from locks, and I think here we go. Last spring I was really getting into doing some core spinning and some core spinning with locks. Every time I say that I think about bagels. But yeah, this one here is core spun. And then I've also wrapped a thread around it. So I don't know how clearly that's going to come up, but I'm going to just hold that up to the camera there for a minute. And I wanted to be able to use this cool yarn that I'd been making. So, but I also knew that I didn't have enough to make a whole entire shawl with it. So I decided to use the vari-dent heddle, or the variable dent heddle, where you can put different thicknesses of yarn in at different points. And of course, this time I already knew that I shouldn't get caught up with trying to use Excel to plot things out. There was another, not challenge, but factor, which is that with the Ashford rigid heddle, for the variable dents, they all come in 2-inch chunks. So my stripings of different widths of yarns was actually very much determined by that heddle. And I did encounter a few pitfalls along the way, like a diagonal fell line that I had to work with, and also the yarn on the bottom, or actually it was the left side of the loom, was very saggy compared to the line on the top. I tried to make it better by shoving a piece of paper in to increase the tension, but that only worked a little bit. And the colors ended up remarkably close to the Target shawl. It's squishy, warm, and it has this amazing hand-spun texture. So I guess those pitfalls didn't matter very much, but the 2-inch spaces are something to think about for working with this particular reed. On the whole, though, it's a wonderful shawl that I really enjoy wearing. Please say hi in the comments and let me know if you've ever worked with the Ashford vari-dent reed or any others like it. And yeah, I'd love for you to subscribe and comment and hit that like button and join me on this fiber journey. Till next time.